All right, look at this shit, bruh. Got my phone over here. Damn, I almost spilled this shit. As the camera. Got this shitty laptop up here. It's doing its job. It's doing well. Now we reconnected our mic back into this motherfucker. And I've been trying to fuck with it to find the perfect spot so that it doesn't sound shitty or you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Jesus. I'm choking on the coffee. All right. So this is gonna probably be the new setup for a little while until me and Chance get like actual setup going down. You already know what I'm talking about. I opened the window for some natural lighting. I think it looks pretty good, and I'm fucking with it. It took me a second to get it all set up, but it didn't take me as long as I thought it would. But what the fuck is going on with you guys? How the fuck are you guys doing? We gained another sub last night, 47 now. That's pretty crazy, man. I mean, I know I'm freaking out about, oh, I gained one person, but one person is a lot more than zero, and we keep gaining one people, even if it's just one at a time. One day we're going to be at a good spot. It's all because of you guys. You guys support this, you guys watch this. I couldn't be more appreciative of you guys dealing with my shit and listening to my shit. Um, let me let's see here. Nah, we'll just leave it. We just gotta be careful with the coffee cup because I'm banging around and shit. But I wanted to have a pretty pretty serious heart to heart with you guys today. And some of you may click off. It might be gay for some of you. It's very uncomfortable to talk about for me. But if it's uncomfortable and you think you're sharing too much, you're probably sharing just enough because it's usually how podcasts go. You gotta be open, you gotta be honest, you gotta express who you are, really. You can't be hiding yourself, you gotta be authentic. So, I'm gonna talk about this thing that hasn't really been bothering me, but it's been kind of stuck in my head. And even when I think it's gone or I'm not worried about it anymore, subconsciously it's still there because I can feel myself, not necessarily feel myself, but I feel experiencing like dreams and subconscious cues and things that illuminate my brain back to the fact of the things I don't want to think about. And I'm not actively not trying to think about this, but my brain suppresses it without my knowing, I think. Because I've tried working through it, and I am working through it, I think. So I don't really know what's going on. So I guess we'll just talk about it. So it's gonna sound weird as hell, but there's this chick. We'll call her a woman. We'll be respectful. This woman and I were dating for not that long. It was about 2 years, but for some reason that relationship had a deep impact on my psyche and my subconscious. I mean, I say for some reason as if I don't have some ideas because I was saying I try to work through this and try to think about it. But like her and I had experienced a lot together, and that relationship is really the reason I'm on this path I'm on today. The path of self improvement, the path of being a good person and treating people with respect and love. It's because I wasn't this person. I've not always been this person, and I still have a lot of demons in my brain. And the reason I wanted to talk about it here is not just for my own benefit, because I feel like talking about it out loud and then re-listening to myself talking about it will help me. But maybe somebody else is struggling with this same problem and they're trying to get past it as well, or they're stuck in a rut. And that's really what I'm here for, is to try to bring my experience and my knowledge, my path of self improvement, and see if it can crisscross in other people's paths and make everybody, not everybody obviously, because I can't reach everybody, but make the people that do listen feel better about life and their thought process and how they're dealing with certain situations, I suppose. Um, so, like, I'll just be open and honest. Me and this chick were doing mushrooms together. We were smoking weed together. Uh, person I lost my virginity to, if I'm being 100% honest, and we're getting real open here. But I obviously that would entail a deep-seated connection to a person by itself. Just you both were virgins and shit like that. But the mushrooms, I couldn't explain in words really how that makes you feel, like doing it with another person, and you're connecting on a much deeper level than you would on just the physical plane. Yeah, like everybody in our generation, well, I guess I don't know who's listening to this, but in my generation, Gen Z, we are the hookup culture. We like to just fuck and basically leave. That's it. And that's why there's a lot of single parents, a lot of divorce. There's a lot of fucked up shit going on because our generation likes to just hook up and then they like to leave. But what we should be doing is really getting back into the normal flow of things. Humans are the way we are for a reason, right? We have two parents that need to be there and help raise the child for the specific reason that the human mind takes 18 years at least to get to a certain point where you can take care of yourself in a successful manner. Because even at like 17, 16 years old, yeah, you've got more idea than the normal child, but it's not necessarily in the fashion that an adult would think. You know what I'm saying? Problem solving, the ability to see the future in a more clear manner than you once did as a child. And that's why, like, it takes us so much longer than normal animals to grow up and to be able to walk, talk, function as a normal human being. Normal animals like deer, elephants, all these other animals, they come out and they're ready to go. They're already walking, they're already following along the tribe, and they're already doing what they need to do. But us, it takes us 18 to 30, I should say, 18 to 30 years, because the prefrontal cortex for women develops faster than men. Women 25, men 30. That's why men are pretty retarded. But yeah, so that's why we have two parents, because it's required to have two parents. A human child is so needy and requires so much commitment that it takes two people to commit to that child. And our culture is straying away from that to where we would rather just hook up, and then we wonder why there's no good people out there, or why the divorce rate's so high, or why we have so many children born out of wedlock. And I'm not like a Christian. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, you gotta be married, no sex before marriage type shit. Nah, because I don't believe in any of that either. Because, I mean, I believe in some things like that. Like, I think it's put there for a reason. But, I gotta stop slurping into the fucking mic. I wonder if I can. Hell yeah. We're gonna do that. We're gonna mute it a little bit, just so that you guys don't hear me. But what the fuck were we talking about? Yeah, that's why so many kids are born out of wedlock, all that shit. And I remember. So I wasn't exactly saying that, oh, you can't have sex before marriage, all this other shit. But what you should be worried about is too many sexual partners, how you're wiring your brain in those sort of situations. Because if you're wiring your brain in a certain way, like we do now, like the way men go after women, I mean, all these circuits have been here. Oh, man, I gotta talk about that. But all these circuits have been here for millions of years. We've talked about that before too. It's just our brains are the same machine that they were millions of years ago. It's just we have different information, different input in those brain circuits. It's the same circuits though. It's like building a sandcastle on top of a different sandcastle. There's a sandcastle under that one, yes, but we have a new one too. And I don't know if that's a good analogy, but that's the one we're using. So, but So these circuits, in my opinion, it drives men to seek women, and that's why. All right, we can't sugarcoat it. Men are horn dogs. Anybody who is a man or has dealt with a man will know that we're fucking horn dogs, and that's just to propel the species forward. You know what I'm saying? Because that was the number one important thing back in the day, was to procreate and make your legacy live on. Why is this just sitting here? We got some fucking vitamin D, ladies and gentlemen. Put that down here. So men are, that's basically what men are here for, is to procreate and to kill and protect. That's about it. It's really all we're here for. Well, that's our old purpose, right? The new purpose, we can do a lot better. We can do a lot of different things now with the technology and the knowledge we have to manage our mind and our body and our spirit, but those same circuits are still in there. That's why we need to learn how to discipline ourselves and control ourselves in certain situations. And I'm going to get to an example of that in a second. But then women, I believe, are bred to, not bred, that sounds like a dog, but they are here to give birth, basically, and to establish relationships and connections, in my opinion, because that's what their body's made for. I mean, men can't have kids. Without women, there would be no human beings, there would be no animals, there would be nothing on this planet. Even plants have female and male genders. And then you gotta sit here and be like, well, there's actually more than two genders, and no, fuck you. I mean, I don't care what you believe. You believe whatever you want to believe, but my opinion, there's only two genders, my friend. You got a penis and you got a vagina, and if you don't have one of those, then I don't know what's going on down there. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, my friend. I gotta stop slurping this shit, but goddamn, is coffee good, man. So that's what I think our old circuits are here, because if you think about it, women's bodies are not only designed to have kids, but then they have to learn how to raise those children and help them to become normal and respectful functioning adults in the society that they are in. And so they need to learn how to read people, establish connections, build relationships, so that they can teach their children how to do the same thing. And obviously it takes both things. Like a mother may have a boy, she may have a girl, but then you need two parents, regardless of the gender of that child, to successfully raise that child, not only in our society now, but that's how we've done it since human beings originated, you know what I'm saying? Since we've started evolving into this species, there's a reason that men stick around women, or at least we're supposed to. A lot of men nowadays will leave and they'll just fucking walk out the door and never come back, but I believe that that's why. That's why we evolved the way we did. And I've read a lot of books about evolution. I've looked into evolution since I was a kid because, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was raised by white people, and I battled with that a lot as a kid. But I've learned to accept it, because if I was born to anybody else, I would not be the person I am today. And not just that, but the dad that I was blessed with, the dad that God gave me, God, Goddess, whatever you want to call it, that man is my dad. I've never wanted another dad. I've never needed another dad. That man's raised me, taken care of me. He's always there for me, and that's all I'll ever need. But I struggled with it a lot as a kid, the fact that I was the only black kid in the family, and I didn't know what happened. And so I wanted to figure out, well, if I don't know where I came from, how do I figure out where human beings themselves came from? And so I started looking into evolution and how we evolved from monkeys, and then you go further back and how we evolved from single-celled organisms, and then you look further back from that, you can look how the Earth formed and the universe formed and all these other planets formed. And it all started with simple elements in the universe, like helium and hydrogen and nitrogen and shit like that. It's crazy. Carbon, that's what we are, carbon-based life forms. And somehow all of these elements gotten to this point. I'm gonna rock back and forth. I like to move. I'm trying not to bang the table though, so I guess the example I'll talk about is I was looking at this chick's Snapchat the other day. All right, and this ain't on some weird shit, but you know, on those public profiles, you have those little like story things you can click on, and one of them said the wall of unhinged horrors, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Obviously, because like who names their shit that? And so I click it, and this thread, bro, this fucking thread, this fucking thread. Oh my god, it is so horrific. It is so horrific, and to a woman, it's probably normal. That's the sad thing. It's probably a normal thing. But I guess I'll just tell you guys what it is. It's this. Oh my god, bro. I don't even want to talk about it because it's so nasty. But this thread I stumbled upon was just men hitting this woman up, and that's all it is really. And it sounds like, oh, what's the horrific part about that? But this thread showed just like the reality of how many men are hitting up women. I mean, not to the extent that I'm sure she gets hit up by, but it showed a few of them enough to fucking formulate this idea and the concept that's in my brain. But it showed many, many men, and all of them were saying some cringy, fucked up, scary bullshit. It was like, what the fuck? I showed it to Chance. That's how like blown away I was by it. And Chance was like, I'm mildly traumatized by what you just showed me. Because these men, man, some of them just direct, like feet vids. Some of them are like, you send. And there's this one who's a kid, and she's like, how old are you? Or he said, how old are you? And then I think he was like, I'm 14 or some shit. And he was like, but I don't care. And she's like, well, I'm 21 and I'm not trying to catch a charge. But these dudes, like, some of them say, I love you. And, like, she doesn't even know these dudes. Like, the way men hit up women is so sick, bro. Like, I never fucking realized that shit before now. Like, I never had any concept or any idea. I know I've done some pretty fucked up shit when I was a kid. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I do fucked up shit as an adult. I'm just trying to get better at it. But the way men hit up women, it's weird. We don't treat them as people, which is fucked up. These men are treating these women as if like they're objects for their pleasure. And call me a feminist, call me soft, call me whatever you want to call me, but I'm just stating my opinion of the observation I had. And that's what it kind of looks like to me. It's kind of scary. And it's traumatizing. Not just I can't imagine being these women, but then as a dude, that's trying to be respectful and honest and open and treat people with love, respect, and dignity. I mean, I guess I should just say it. If you're a dude hitting up women like this, bro, fucking stop it. Stop it. You're making us all look bad. Like, what are you doing? You think a woman's gonna want to see your penis, or fucking say she wants you to say I love you after like, not even after time. It's just the first fucking message you send somebody is I love you. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, come on. Like, and the problem is, it's not just men. Let's move this shit right here. It's not just men. Women have some part to play in it because of, and I'm not telling anybody how to be, right? I would never do that because the government does that enough, and I just want to live. I want to be happy, healthy. That's all I want for myself. So, like, I'm not really paying attention to what other people are doing. Like, that's not my problem. But then you gotta sit there and wonder, why is our society the way it is? And you see men being retarded and acting stupid like that in other ways, obviously, because we get aggressive, we get fucking violent, we get all kinds of ways men can fucking be. But then you got women on the other side where they dress provocatively and they talk in certain ways that elicit responses from men, or they want attention because they're used to that attention coming from all these men. And I'm not judging. I don't give a fuck what anybody does. But I'm just saying, if we want a better society, we gotta figure out how to get past these bullshit instincts that we have as humans. And we need to figure out. I don't think we're supposed to be getting rid of this old stuff. Me and Chance had talked about this last night. I think that's why we needed the internet, because if you look at the Roman Empire, and I'm not saying I know exactly why the Roman Empire fell, but all civilizations that are advanced enough, they focus on gender. Not all of them. I'm sure we don't have an accurate record of every civilization that's ever existed, but the majority of what we have, like the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, all these empires that we have seen in the past and we have studied and we have documentation of, they were obsessed with gender. Like we are now. They were obsessed with, oh, what's a man, what's a female, I'm both genders, I'm this gender, I'm that gender. That's what they were obsessed with. And I was talking to Chance and I was wondering, maybe that's why we needed to form the internet, because we get these, what do I want to call them? We get these mind viruses that one person adopts it. It's just one bad thinker. And then he recruits another bad thinker, because a lot of people have low IQs. You'll realize that if you look that shit up. A lot of people are not as smart as we would like to fucking have human beings be. And so I was just listening to a podcast with Chance this morning about that's how a lot of people wind up in cults or fall into a line of work that they're not happy at, is because a lot of people would rather just put their heads down rather than think for themselves and find another way or push against the resistance of what's already put up, like the infrastructure that's already been built. And shit, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh shit, I almost fucked some shit up, but we're about to do some pull-ups mid-pod because I need to clear my brain out a little bit. Bear with me here. Alright, we're back. We're fucking back. So, what we were talking about was, I was just trying to cure the pain within myself, right? I was depressed, I felt like shit, and so I was self-medicating, because all I ever knew was medication. If I felt bad or didn't feel right, medication. Because I've been on pills since I was in second grade. And this isn't like me crying or me saying, oh, everybody feel bad for me. Don't fucking feel bad for me. Who the hell do you think you are? No, I'm just talking. I'm just expressing myself. And maybe somebody will like it. Maybe it'll help other people. Maybe it won't. But so I just felt terrible. And I was trying to get to a point where I could feel good with it. Not even good, like I said before. I was trying to feel better than I did, because I did not want to feel like that. And this woman was trying to help me. I could tell. I couldn't tell then, but I can tell now. She was trying to help me. She just had no concept and idea of how, because I didn't even know how. If I don't know how to help myself, who can? That's the thing. And so I took that out on the world. I was taking it out on the world for a long time. All the fucking anger, all the terrible feeling that I had within myself. And I was doing pills. I was doing stupid shit, just trying to self-medicate and find a way to where I could exist in a fucking manner that wasn't so dreadful and terrible and felt so bad. Because depression, people don't understand. It's not just you're sad. It's a whole perspective shift. Your whole world is changing around you to the point where even a fucking sunny sky and a beautiful day could mean detrimental fucking consequences for your brain. Because it's like, oh, everything's so nice, but I feel so shitty and I hate myself and all this shit. Your brain lies to you and it tells you all this stupid bullshit that you believe. And mine does the same thing. And that's the thing. That's what nobody tells you is intelligent people have it way worse. And I'm not calling myself intelligent, but um, if you put more knowledge in your brain and more experience, your brain's also going to have more knowledge and experience to fuck you over and get you into a spot where you're in a fucked up position. Because it's going to have more tips and tricks to get you off the path that you're trying to be on. So as you gain more intelligence and more knowledge, you need to gain more self-discipline as well, or else the whole thing will come crumbling down around you. And that's what happened to me, was I was getting to a point where I could handle myself. I was being respectful. I mean, I still had issues, and like I said, I still have issues now. Like, there's no getting rid of your issues. Everybody has problems and things that they need to work on. And so I had gotten to a point where I could take care of a lot of the things in my head, I guess maybe it wasn't, because I was meditating, I was learning how to work out, I was doing all this stuff that I do now, but I think it was more for an egoic perspective. And I think that was really what got me and this woman into such conflict all the time, was my ego. My identity is super strong, and I've always had a super strong identity. As a kid, I thought I was hot shit. I thought I was the best motherfucker on the planet. I thought I was untouchable, bro. I thought I was God, basically. If you want to put a word to it, I thought I was a fucking God. It's what my brain's always trying to tell me. I ain't gonna lie. Like, me and Chance have talked about this many times, and he's talked about how when he like hears his voice on a podcast or somebody compliments him, he cringes at it and he's like, nah, nah, nah. Or he's like, no, actually, he doesn't believe it. And that's why I said no, but he doesn't say no. He just says thank you or something like that in that form or fashion. For me, I do the same thing, but it's a different process in my mind, because I'm saying thank you or laughing about it because I already know. And it sounds fucked up to say, and I said that to Chance, but that's just how my brain's always thought. Like, I know I'm attractive, I know I'm smart, I know I'm this, I know I'm that, so nobody needs to tell me. But if somebody does tell me, I'm just like, oh, thanks, or I know. Like, it's weird. I don't know why my brain works that way. But that's what I meant by I have a strong identity. My footing in this physical reality is very grounded. Like, my brain's very stubborn. It doesn't like to let go of things sometimes. It likes to believe I'm in a better position mentally or spiritually or physically than a lot of people. It tries to convince me of all this bullshit, and I used to believe it. Like, the thing about our mind is we have these, like, two pieces in there. It's the same thing, obviously, but you've got the animalistic piece of you, and then the you've got the higher consciousness self. And the animalistic piece is what's always trying to convince you to do stupid shit, like the pain pleasure pathway and pain pleasure pathway. Okay. And then you got like dopamine circuits and serotonin circuits and all these brain circuits that I was talking about before also lead us down a path of addiction or gambling or all these things that can fuck our lives up fast. And I think I was stuck in that animalistic piece, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I was an animal. I was a fucking animal. We are all animals, but there's some people where your animalistic piece is stronger than that higher consciousness. And I think that's where I was at. And I still get that way sometimes, to be honest. But that's where me and this woman had conflict quite often, is my brain was always trying to convince me I was better and I'm this, I'm that. And then it would convince me so soundly that I wouldn't listen to anybody else. Like, I'd be like, oh, fuck what that guy says. I know what the fuck I need to be doing. And I still get thoughts like that sometimes. It's a fucking daily battle with my brain. I'm not even gonna lie. My brain is always trying to fucking get me in trouble, convince me of stupid shit. Like, and I guarantee it's not just me. That's just how the human brain works. It's always trying to convince you shit. That's why we need other people, because if I'm just sitting here all day by myself and it's feeding me all this shit like, oh, you're stupid, this, that. And I guarantee this is why depression gets so bad, is because you start to believe this shit. And it's what David Goggins talks about. You start to believe this shit. But yeah. Yeah. And so when you start to believe it because you're by yourself all the time and you don't have people to bounce your ideas off of, then that's your reality now. Because you don't have people to bounce it off and check if it's reality or not. I've heard many stories and many experiences of this. And that's why, like I've said before, the worst thing you can do to a prisoner is solitary confinement. But I suppose we'll just keep talking about this. So when I was getting to a point where I could control myself, not necessarily control myself, but it was still for my egoic mind, like my identity. Now I'm a meditator. Now I run and I work out. Now I read books. Now I do this. Now I do that. Because that's how you form good habits. You have to change your identity into these certain things, right? But it's also a trap in itself because you can get caught in that trap. We've been going for a decent amount of time here. You can get caught in that trap to where you start to see yourself as this fucking higher power, basically. Like I said before. Like, it's just, my brain basically did a 180 and went from science as my religion to spirituality as my religion. And it was just my identity tricking me. So when I say that maybe I was getting to a different spot, maybe it wasn't necessarily that I was getting to a different spot, and that's what she recognized, because she had, the reason I had learned so much when I was in that relationship is because she had taught me so much about myself that I did not know. And like, she knew me better than I did at some times, at some points. And that's how I first started to learn how to um, be, like, be me, because I didn't know who I was, really. So I'm sure she realized that I'm just still using this stuff for my identity. Even though I wanted to say I wasn't, I was. And that's where the ego gets tricky too, is because you could never really get rid of it. The ego's always going to be there. Everybody's always talking about transcending ego and just, you know what I'm saying, ego death, all this shit. But it always comes back. You know, you always get caught in the trap again. There's no fully getting rid of it because your identity is what allows you to interact with the physical plane. I like this, I don't like this. I want to do that, I don't want to do that. You know, shit like that. This is my past and who I was as a child. This is who I want to be as in the future. That's what the identity does. So there's no transcending it completely. But you can get to a point where, and this took me a long time and I still have to work on it every day, but you can get to a point where you're the awareness behind all that. Like, if you really sit in your head and meditate, this is what experienced meditators are talking about. You could start to feel your own energy and start to feel something in there that's not your thoughts and it's not your body, but it's something behind that, if that makes sense. It's just basically like, it's basically as if you were watching TV and you didn't have the remote, so you can't skip through the commercials or change the TV show. And you got this one show going on all the time. And yeah, you get commercials sometimes, which is the stresses of life. But you're constantly watching that TV show. But in this analogy, you think you are the TV. You're watching the TV and you think that everything that's going on there is happening to you. But then the awareness and I guess what they consider enlightenment is when you figure out that, oh, I'm not the TV. I'm the person watching the TV. So that's how you treat your brain, basically, is you watch your thoughts go by and you don't manipulate them. You don't try to push them down. Because if you try to push your thoughts down, and I've used this analogy before, it's like a beach ball where you're shoving it down into the water. And you could do it pretty easily first few, maybe 100 times, but eventually your arm's going to get tired to where you can't push this down anymore. And so it becomes a lot more difficult to do that with your thought process. And then that's when it becomes subconscious cues. Like I was talking about, I had a dream about this. That woman I'm talking about. I had a dream about it because my brain had pushed it down into my subconscious, and that's what happens when you dream. Is things that you did not want to think about come back up. And I didn't even know I didn't want to think about this. And that's how tricky the brain can be. Like you can do it without even thinking. That's what the subconscious is. And that's really what you're trying to learn how to rewire when you're working on yourself and trying to work on your brain, is that subconscious bullshit that's been in there since the day you were born. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, and you're just trying to rewire that. And so basically I freaked the fuck out. We'll just skip ahead. I freaked the fuck out when the shit had come to an end. I tweaked out, tried messaging her, tried sending her letters, tried doing this and that, because I didn't want it to end. And that kind of just solidified her not wanting to speak with me, to be honest, because she's like, God damn, he's more of a tweaker than I thought he was, which I didn't even know I tweaked that hard. But so yeah. And what else did I have to say? I had something else to talk about. Oh yeah, well, I did a lot of shit like nicotine, smoked a little bit of weed, did some mushrooms, drank a lot when we broke up. And then after that, after I finally started to realize that I can't live like this, because it was like coming up on a month of me not going to the gym. And I'm like, all right, we need to get back into this shit before our muscles start to deteriorate and our brain starts to deteriorate back into what I was before her and I had gotten together. Because I was a different person and I knew it. But I was starting to slip back into those old patterns where I just wanted to be fucked up all the time to not feel things. And maybe that's why it took so long for me to get to a point where I can sit here and talk openly and honestly to a camera about what I have been through and all this shit, is because I was just shoving it all down subconsciously and not processing it in a healthy manner. And so I used every tool that I had: meditation, cardio, weightlifting, books, podcasts, everything that I had at my disposal to work through that experience to an extent to that, and that was a bad sentence, to an extent to where I could get to this point, basically. And I had a lot of ruts along the way. There's a lot of things that tried to stop me. There's a lot of things that I almost didn't make happen. Like, it could have been so different. And I thank God every day for not only giving me this ability to talk like I do and giving me a platform. I didn't have to be born in this time with this technology. And if I wasn't, might have not been able to do this, because I'd have to have a news radio show or something to where I was already had the infrastructure there. But the infrastructure is here now. YouTube's here. Fucking Spotify's here. All this shit's here to where we can just start recording, start talking. And if you have like any ideas or like concepts of wanting to do podcasts, not guarantee it. I highly recommend you start that shit as soon as possible, because I put it off for a long time. But if you put it off, you're just putting it off for no reason. There's no really perfect time to start this, because you got to practice and you got to get better at what you're doing. So if you're not doing it as soon as possible, like I thought about this the other day. I don't know exactly when Joe Rogan started his podcast, but I did the math of how long it would take me to get to the position he's at with the amount of episodes he has. He's at like 2,100 last time I checked. And it would take me like 4 years. 4 years to get to like 2,100 episodes. And Joe Rogan's already there at like 50-some years old. And that's the kind of infrastructure I'm talking about, is that we're young. Whoever's listening to this, if you're like my age and shit, we've got all the time in the world, bro. I mean, to an extent, because time goes fast. Like every year we go faster and faster and faster and faster. And so if you have a dream or a goal that you want to accomplish, you need to get on top of that shit right now. Because you've got a lot of working through problems. You got a lot of improvement to do. You've got a lot of things that you need to put in place before you're going to get to the spot you want to be at. There's a lot of infrastructure. And the reason I talk about this like this is because I listened to Jeff Bezos on a podcast, and it was a really good analogy about the infrastructure. The infrastructure for Amazon was already there, he says. Everybody had, like, there was websites, all this shit, the internet was already in place. All he had to do was set up a spot that, like, not just that, I want to talk about this before I say that. Not just the internet was in place, but the U.S. Postal Service, all these companies that deliver packages, all that was already in place. So all he had to do was make the Amazon website and combine with all these companies that allow him to sell their products. And then they come to you via U.S. Postal Service or whatever it may be. That's what I mean by the infrastructure is there. Sometimes the infrastructure is not there. That's why we're here. And that's why it's a multi-generational plan to be successful as human beings. Because sometimes we got to build the infrastructure for the future generations. Maybe we won't see our work be completed in this time. But it will be completed if we lay the infrastructure and work for what we need to do. So, I guess the reason I wanted to talk about, like, this chick, but it wasn't really, like I said, I didn't want people to feel bad for me, and I'm not, like, sitting here telling you a sob story or any of that, because a lot of it was my fault, and that's mainly what I wanted to talk about is I had a huge mistake that I made, and now I'm trying to correct it. I'm not that same person I was before, and I still have some of the same tendencies, yes, but I'm working on it every single day to not be that person. And that's actually what makes me who I am now, is that I never want to go back to that person I was before. I was not a good person. I hurt people unintentionally because I was just trying to feel better. And then it costed me a lot of relationships. It cost me a lot of time, money. And it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot on how to be happy, how to be at peace. It taught me quite a bit, really. And a lot of this stuff still affects me to this day, or else I wouldn't be talking about it. I would have forgot, right? Or it would be in my head, and I wouldn't feel so passionately about it. But I guess that's really the main reason I wanted to talk about this. Is just if anybody else is struggling with things that whether it be a mistake you made or a loss you've had, a family member, a relationship, a friendship, an animal, whatever's going bad in your life or you think is bad or stressful or whatever it may be, bro, you can work through that shit. Like, it's not going to be easy. You're probably going to like I said, I just had a dream about it today. That was like 2-3 years ago, dude. And my brain's still like, hey, wake up, we'll think about this. And I'm like, God damn it, I need to go fucking smoke a cigarette now because my brain's got me thinking about this bullshit. But if I didn't think about it, this podcast wouldn't come out. And it's a long podcast. I did pretty good, man. And I like this setup. I'm probably going to keep doing this. But it's pretty nice because I can see myself right here. And then I got all I could change the camera. And this is just the small version of this app I'm using. I can upgrade it. And I can have access to more cameras, more camera angles, more audio stuff. What else we got here? We got frames we can put on here, presets we can put on, scenes and watermarks. So I can make myself watermark, or I can have Chance help me with that because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But yeah, it's a pretty neat setup. I got my phone over here. That was another reason I woke up this morning, really, was because it wasn't just that, but I'm like, I wonder if I can connect. I don't know where it came from. It was just like a spur of the moment idea that popped into my head. I'm like, can I connect my phone to my laptop and use my phone as a camera? Because the phone camera is so much better. But then I have this mic that I bought, and I'm like, how do I combine these two together? And we figured it out. So I think I'm going to do my podcast like this from now on. And then I can get another mic, plug it in here, have both of them together, and me and Chance can do a podcast. Or I could put this in between us, like this, and then you can hear me, kinda. Oh, we might need another fucking microphone. I ain't gonna lie. We're probably gonna need another one. But yeah. I guess that's really all I have to talk about. It's a pretty long podcast. Like I said at the beginning, 47 subs now. The video's been getting pretty good views. I mean, not a lot, obviously. I'm not this big YouTuber, but it's decent for just starting out, I think. Like 12 views on my last one, 40 on the one before that, 42 on the one before that. That's pretty fucking good, bro. And I'm proud of you guys. Proud of whatever you guys have accomplished. I'm proud of us building this together. And I thank you guys for sticking with this shit. Listen to me babble for a little bit. But I'm probably going to end this thing, go smoke a cigarette, maybe do more pull-ups and shit, and get this video uploaded. So I hope you guys have a good day, good week, good weekend, and stay out of trouble. And I love you guys. Bye.